The year 1983 perhaps was one of Ghana's hardest years in modern history. One of the biggest droughts was underway. There was less meaningful rain since the year 1981. To understand the full impact of this, a bit of history is needed. I am here today to find out more.
Ghana experienced its worst and most severe drought 40 years ago. This devastating famine began in 1981 and peaked in 1983. Crop yield began to dwindle. Drought and bushfires destroyed many farms. Kwame Moses, a driver, was 14 years at the time and recalls his family lost all their food crops to bushfire.
People were really suffering. It was even difficult to get food to eat, and this was due to the bushfires. There was no rains, and the sun was really bright and hot. There could be bushfires anytime. Farms were getting burnt. Plantains could fall off easily, and we really suffered. I remember in 1983, my father had a farm. That was our main source of livelihood as a family. Unfortunately, one day, when we got there, everything was burnt to the ground. You could not even walk on the land barefooted on a regular day that there was no fire.
People began to have difficulty obtaining food. Even the wealthy had money but could not find food to purchase.
The food that was helpful to us was bobe, also known as Colocasia esculenta. This food was closer to the waters. Even the waters had dried up, and the aquatic animals could not survive in them. And also, kokonte was very common, because by the time you get home, the sun would have melted the cassava, and we would dry up the remains and take it to the mill to grind. But even with that, the leftovers were not much. And during those days, my mom would go and look for kontomire and turkey berries. And even finding those was an issue.
Some traders jacked up their prices in order to profit from the circumstance. This compelled the government to enact price control measures. Sadly, the military guards posted at the marketplaces to ensure that traders complied with the established rates, flogged and tortured vendors for hoarding items.
I sold plantain during those times. The soldiers will come and sell your foodstuff at control prices. They put you on a table and lash you. By God's grace, I have never been lashed. I've been selling in Malamata even before 1983. People were really beaten. I have been truthful since 1944, so I was not beaten. But if your foodstuff are expensive, the soldiers will sell it at control prices and beat you.
In 1983, when Ghana was in dire straits, Nigerian President Shehu Shagari took advantage of the situation to exact revenge by expelling 2 million illegal immigrants from West Africa, of which more than half were Ghanaians.
If they don't leave, they should be arrested and tried and sent back to their homes.
With more than 2 million illegal immigrants ordered to get out of Nigeria, the resulting chaos is staggering. Hundreds of thousands have now massed at Nigeria's frontier with the tiny West African state of Benin.
This was in response to Ghana's Alien Compliance Order of 1969, where many illegal foreign nationals were expelled from Ghana. At that time, Ghana was unable to cater for the influx of its own people from Nigeria.
Almost 900,000 have already returned to Ghana alone. Most of the illegal migrant workers who've been expelled from Nigeria have been making their way along what used to be known as the Slave Coast, through Benin and Togo towards Ghana.
40 years on, Asari, not his real name, who was 33 years in 1983 and also a deportee, had quite an experience to share with me.
I was in Nigeria for 1 year, when then the security order also came. And when the security order came, we were coming. Our experience on the journey wasn't anything to write about. Unfortunately, we managed to enter Ghana. I mean, before then, we were kept at a between Benin and Togo border for some days, because Ghana border has been closed for one reason or the other. So when the border was open and we were coming, not knowing they deployed soldiers all along the road, and on our way coming, maybe 2 or 3 soldiers will join your vehicle, and they will march you to transfer. They search you, whatever you have, they say they are going to change it with a bank rate. If you are having the Naira at the time, they are going to change it at a bank rate for you, and then you do your duty or whatever it is. And if you are lucky, you will get it. If you are not lucky, your money will go without getting it, and then you come back home empty-handed. Those were some of the experiences we were going through.
Asari ventured into Gari business in 1983, but unfortunately, soldiers kept on harassing him until he decided to give up and look for other alternatives.
It get to a point when this famine started that I decided to go to this Sanaboy Prestia area to go and do this Gari business, because it was somehow lubricant at that time. You go and buy it and then you come and sell. So some of our families were there. So we go there, they did the Gari for us, and we have been bringing it to Kanesh market to sell. But unfortunately, one of their trips, the soldiers caught up with us and they took everything from us and they sold it at a control price, and we lost our capital. And that was the end of that business.
So how long did that business last?
About between 6 to 1 year time. Then our business collapsed and I went back to Nigeria.
Asari says he never wants Ghana to go back to those dark days. He stressed that freedom is more important to him than anything else.
Those era, I'm not sure we are heading towards those era. Why? Because as I'm sitting here, I'm free. I don't have anything at the back of my mind that maybe a soldier or somebody is coming to harass me or coming to take somebody good and go and sell it at a control price and that kind of things. So I'm free. I can move to any place, I can move to any corner at any time without anybody harassing me. Unlike before, there are certain hours of the day, if you are moving and the soldiers or whoever they meet you are, they can do anything to you. And by the time maybe your family or your people will hear, maybe you are at a place, they are not thinking of you going there, but you are there. And who to go and complain to? Nobody. But as I sit down here right now, if something happened to me, I know where to go and complain. Yeah. And maybe my case can be taken up and then I'll have my freedom.
Richard Isirifi was also deported from Nigeria. He was 25 years in 1983 and narrates that things were so bad in Ghana that he tried smuggling his way back to Nigeria.
83 no, we call Nigeria 79. Me we school na mpape kuma be fa me koi. Tie ho na me samba Ghana. 81 na me san koi.
My uncle took me to Nigeria in 1979 right after school, but I came back to Ghana and left again to Nigeria in 1981. Not long after I was deported to Ghana. Our journey back to Ghana was not a smooth one. A lot of people perished. Our parents thought we had also died on our way, but when they finally saw us, they were overwhelmed with joy. Initially, when we got here, they took us to the Independence Square, where we also suffered to move from. I didn't stay in Accra, but rather at Ajumako in the central region. In fact, the hunger caused people to eat raw cocoyam, and it was not easy for me. I decided to go back to Nigeria, but it didn't work out, and I returned to Accra. Issues with regards to money during that time was not a problem. Any small amount of money can buy something, though money was hard to come by. Small amount of money can buy something huge, unlike this era.
But the real question is, 40 years on, what has changed?
Yes, there has been a lot of improvement in terms of agriculture because some of our people has learned a lot of lessons during those era, and they have improved upon those things because there has been so many mechanisms after those farming season, and from the way I see it, there has been so much improvement because at that time, unless you are being forced to go into that farming, or the soldiers can maybe group people to go and carry cocoa and some other things, but with that, with our current situation, there has been so much improvement. People go about their farming business freely without anybody forcing or pushing them to go and do.
Issues with regards to money during that time was not a problem. Any small amount of money can buy something, though money was hard to come by. Small amount of money can buy something huge, unlike this era.
A change this time. No. We are going backward.
Oh, difference in India. Simple because
there is so much difference now, simply because currently the economy in the country is hard, but not like 1983. Money is hard to come by these days, and work is hard to find. If you work hard, you will definitely get the money to get what you want.
But 83
There are foodstuffs available today and they are not expensive. The things in the shops are expensive. The oil for frying plantain chips has increased drastically. I believe this era is okay because the things are available.
Jacqueline and Suma Yabua's report for Joy News.